Hi guys, welcome back to Python versus YouTube channel where curiosity meets the code. Today we're discussing about how to create a world clock GUI using Tkinter Python's library. Let's get started. But before that, we'll be checking the packages pre-installed in my system. So the first command that I'm going to execute in command prompt is pip list, where you can see all the packages with the versions so I can give a look about what package is what version and update it accordingly. So you can take a look onto your packages. If not installed, please do install it. You can just Google how to install and there will be a command for that to execute in command prompt. Another command to check for all these is pip freeze, which gives a similar output where packages with the version will be mentioned. So coming back to the code of creating the world clock, let's see the code first. So basically first we are importing the necessary libraries that are used in this program, which includes tkinter as tk and pytz. This line imports the tkinter module and renames it as tk for convenience. It also imports the pytz module for time zone support. And also from date and time, import date and time. This line imports the date and time class from the datetime module. It's necessary for working with dates and times. And we have the class of digital clock. So under class digital clock, we have the first function as DEFINIT, which is the initial part, which is the GUI of the program. So starting with, you can see DEF is given a name of init, and what are the parameters passed through this or arguments passed? One is master, time zone, country name, and any additional keywords or arguments can be passed. And down we have super.init master and kworks. This line calls the constructor of the superclass, which is tk.Label, to initialize the label widget with the specified master widget, and any additional keyword argument is also passed here. We have self.timezone is equal to none. This line initiates the time zone attribute of the digital clock instance to none. It will store the time zone information. Then we have self.country name, which is equal to country name. This line assigns the value of the country name argument to the country name attribute of the digital clock instance. And then later coming down, we have self.config, font is equal to Helvetia, and size, the font size is 14. We have paddings and pad by as 10,5. This line configures the front horizontal padding and vertical padding of the label widget. Later we have self.configure border width is equal to 2, relief is equal to solid. This line confirms the border width and relief style of the label widget, giving it a solid border. And later we have self.set color. This line calls the set color method to set background color of the label widget based on the country name. And later we have a if loop, if time zone name. This checks if the time zone name argument is not done, then we have self.text set time zone name. If time zone name is not done, this calls the time zone set time zone method to set the time zone of the clock. Moving on to the next function, we have a function of update the time, and a parameter of self is passed. So starting we have if self dot time zone. This checks again the time zone attribute is not none, which is empty. And then we assign current time is equal to date time dot now, and we are passing self dot time zone. This line retrieves the current time using the date time dot now and converts it to a time zone specified by the time zone method. Then we have formatted time is equal to current time strf time, and we have some arguments. This line formats the current time as a string with the format which is given, which includes the day of the week and date and the time. We have self.config text is equal to. So this line updates the text displayed on the label widget to include the country name and the formatted line. And we have self.after 1000 self update time. This line schedules the update time method to be called again after 100 milliseconds, which is equal to 1 second. Moving on to the next, we have the next function as set the time zone. So here, as you can see, this line defines the set time zone method which sets the time zone of the clock, and self dot time zone is equal to pytz dot time zone, and in the brackets we are giving time zone dot name. This line assigns the time zone corresponding to the given time zone name to the time zone attribute. And then we have self dot update time. This line calls the update time method to immediately update the display time after seeing the time zone. And later, moving on to the next, we have function of set color. Now here you can see the line defines the set color method which sets the background color of the clock based on the country name. So I have given some of the colors in the colors attribute, which is red, blue, green, orange, magenta, light green, all those things. This line defines a list of colors to be used in the background in the clock. And we have self.config background is equal to colors and hash self country name hashtag length in color. This line configures the background color of the clock widget based on the hash value of the country name modulo and length of the color list. Coming on to the next module, we have the module named DEF main. This line defines the main function which serves as an entry point to the program, and we have root is equal to tk.tk, and we have given a title of world clock. This line creates the main Tinker window and sets its title to the world clock. And now we are defining the time zone, which is equal to the country or the city name and slash the entire country name. So that is given. This blocks that defines the list name time zones where each element of the tuple containing a time zone name and its correspondent country. So moving down, I have given multiple countries and their time zones. So later we are defining IDX is equal to 0. This line initiates the variable IDX to 0, which will be used to keep track of the current position in the time zones list. And we have a for loop too. So in the for loop, what happens? For TA's country in time zone 5, this line starts a loop that iterates over the first 5 elements of the time zone list, and we have clock label grid, and IDX. We are incrementing the IDs. Inside the loop, the digital clock label widget is created for each time zone. The widget is initialized with the time zone name TZ and the country name country. The grid method is used to place the widget and the Tkinter grid layout at the position. Row is equal to IDS, column is equal to 0. With strict property NSU expands in all direction. The IDX variable is incremented to move to the next row in the grid. So let's move on to the next function, which is update time zone. So here you can see update time zone. The line defines the update time zone function, which will dynamically update the display time zones for every 10 seconds. And we have non-local IDX. This line declares the variable IDX as a non-local, allowing the function to modify its value. And we have a for loop widget in root.win info children win widget dot destroy. This loop destroys all the existing widget in the Tkinter window, clearing the display. And we have another for loop which is for TZ country in time zone index plus 5. This loop iterates over the next 5 elements in the time zone list starting from the current position of the IDX. And we have given clock label is equal to digital clock, and we are passing the elements, and we have clock label grid, and we are row is equal to index divided by 5, column is equal to 0, and then later we are incrementing the IDX. So here inside the loop, a new digital clock label widget is created for each time zone. The widget is placed in the Tkinter grid layout without the row index calculated as IDX divided by 5, ensuring that it wraps the next column after every 5 rows. The IDX variable is incremented to move the next set of the time zone, and later we have root after 1000 update the time. So here in this sentence, what happens? This line schedules the update time zone function to be called again after 10,000 milliseconds, which is equal to 10 seconds. And then we have root dot after 10,000 update time zone. This line schedules the update time zones function to be called immediately after the Tkinter event loop starts. And lastly, we are having if name is equal to main. This condition blocks ensures that the main function is executed only if the script is run directly, not imported as a model. It starts the execution of the program. Now, quickly, let's see the output of the program. So, as usual, I'm going to go to the place where the program is stored, copy the name of the program, open the command prompt from there, Python space file name dot py. And you can see every country is also displayed one by one. It will keep displaying after every 1000 seconds. It keeps updating. You have USA, China, Germany, Mexico, France, and you have the country name, the date followed with the time in the particular country. You have New Zealand, South Africa, Russia, Canada, Singapore. It keeps displaying until the given countries list is all displayed. So you have Turkey, Brazil, South Korea, Hong Kong, Sweden, and you can see the colors also have been changing as per their hash value. And we have say Spain, USA, and Italy too. Thank you so much for watching. If you have learned something from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.